Welcome to all the E-Type Club members and E-Type Jaguar enthusiasts. I just thought I'd do an update of taking the car to the UK. When we left Vienna, I'd done about 500, 600 Ks, which is really a bit short running in period for doing a big run up to the UK. Anyway, we got back a couple of days ago and the car's done over 3,000 kilometres and she ran really great. I was a bit worried, but she ran really well. I had no issues at all with it. Started on the button every time, and we went to the show, and then we went on a tour around the Cotswolds. But I just wanted to do an update because I'm going to do a video. There's one video I have on Dave Jaguar 66 which is completely wrong, and I'm going to take it off. And I'm going to do another video because I made a real massive screw up when I built the car, which seems stupid after doing all this work and this technical, the amount of technical stuff I've put into it, and then to make this mistake, which I'll tell you about in a minute. I'll lead up to that, but I'll tell you about it in a second. And where I actually found the mistake was when I went to the club meeting. Basically what happened was we got up to Tenbury Wells, which is where the club HQ is, and my car was parked next to another Jaguar, the same 66, but it was gunmetal grey. And the chap next to me told me that he'd come up from somewhere in England. Bearing in mind we got the train from Vienna to Düsseldorf, and then we drove from Düsseldorf right up to Worcestershire and all the way back again, the same thing. Anyway, he said he was driving up from the UK, somewhere in the UK, I don't know where he lived. And the back end of his E-Type started to move around. And it turned out that the guy that had done his IRS, his independent rear suspension, had put the castellated nuts on, but he hadn't put the split pins in, so they started to come off. So you can imagine the back wheels were starting to float. Anyway, he managed, fortunately the wheel didn't come off and he didn't have an accident. It could have been catastrophic, but anyway, he managed to put something in to stop the nut backing off. And when I saw him, he told me the story, and I said, well, you know, you should check this side. It was actually that side that nearly came off when he was driving, and it was this side. So I said, well, I've got a hydraulic jack, let's try it. So we picked it up, and right enough, this side here didn't have the split pin in it either, so he could have lost that wheel. But when we started taking it off, I saw the way he was knocking the spinner, and I thought, this spinner's on the wrong way around. And I don't know why, but my mechanical work, I'm thinking about centrifugal forces, and I'm thinking, well, the spinners must tighten up as you're going forward, because 99.9% of the time you're moving forward. And this was my logic, and I just had it implanted in my brain. I didn't even look. It says on the spinners, left offside, right offside, oh, not right, but it says offside rear or whatever. And I didn't even look at the spinners. I just had it in my head that they should tighten going forward, and this is incorrect. Because what I didn't think about is the braking forces are greater than the acceleration forces. And if you do an emergency stop, this is when they come loose. So they actually undo going forward and tighten backwards, tighten towards the rear of the car, left and right handed. Very stupid mistake, very simple, and I could not understand it. So what I did was, when I saw his was going the opposite way to mine, bearing in mind I've driven all this distance and there was no problem with it. I checked them all the time, make sure they were okay, hadn't come loose. And then I went round and looked at every other car, and of course, yeah, obviously that is the correct way. They undo going forward and tighten going back. Anyway, that was the situation. Now, if I pick the camera up at the end, they're done. Obviously this side has been swapped for this and so on, and same on the rear. It took a day to do it all, and now it's all back the right way. But, you know, I've heard stories about people losing wheels or they can't come loose and whatever. So what happened was all the way to England and all the way back to, from Düsseldorf to England back, and we did, I don't know, 800 Ks while we were there. No problems with the spinners. What I did do, when I realised they were on wrong, we put some locking wire onto the end of the spinners, so that if they did come loose, it couldn't fall off at least. And you know, it doesn't do, the wire around the spokes doesn't do any harm because it's all moving in the same direction. And if they did come off, if you've got locking wire on them. Maybe it doesn't look very pretty, but it guaranteed it won't come off. Or if they do get loose, it won't fall off because it's with the wheel. Anyway, so that's the story. Very stupid mistake. So I'm going to do a video on it, and I know people might look at this and think, how could you be such a dumbass? Yeah? But I had it in my head that the inertia and everything, and I was thinking about it from an engineering point of view, and I didn't think about the braking, and there you go. But what happened was there was a bit of over the last week or so, there's been a few problems. The first one was while we were over in the UK, we had a Schnauzer, Cara, and she was 15 years and 3 months, and she died unfortunately while we were away, and we got a phone call. So that was the first thing, you know, terrible losing a pet, especially when you've had them that long. So she was an old dog and she was getting a bit blind and a bit deaf, but even so. So that was the first thing. Then when we were coming back, the car ran beautiful all the way back. We got to Dusseldorf. We got on the car train. My wife flew back from Dusseldorf because the train compartment's tiny. I would never use it again. Awful. The train rattled for 11 hours all night. And when I took the car off the train in Vienna, I didn't check, and this wire had busted on this front one. So I'm driving back home, which is we only live 10 minutes from the city centre, and on a thing called a tangenti, which is like the M25 in the UK, except it moves, the spinner came off. Fortunately I was in a straight line and the wheel stayed on. So I had to stop in the middle of all this traffic, rush hour traffic, 8:30 in the morning, get the spinner and put it back on. I then went up to the other side where there was a safety lane, and I drove slowly. We got through a tunnel about 4 or 5 k's down the road. Very slowly I was driving, and it came off again. So yeah, this was a nightmare. Anyway, what we ended up doing was I took my car, and I came down here in my wife's car, then we took my car and trailer and went up there and picked the car up. I wasn't going to take a chance until we'd done everything, but it's all done now, so the car's fine and everything else is running great. And then to top it all off, the night we brought the car down, I got a puncture, the tyre got ripped off my trailer, and I didn't have a spare with me, as usual. But we got that sorted at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And the last thing, 2 days ago, my wife had some problems with what she thought it was with her back. It turned out to be her kidneys. There was a massive kidney stone, 8mm kidney stone, which she just had out last night. And hopefully she could be home in a few days. So that's it. That's from the very highs to the very lows. So it's been a very eventful 2.5 weeks. So I just wanted to give you an update, but then I'll put a new one up when I go over this, when I go over these spinner situations, and also an update on how the car went, you know, with ignition and carburetors and everything. So thanks for watching in, and yeah, just make sure these spinners tighten up backwards to the back of the car. Anyway, thanks for watching in, and bye for now. Take care. Bye.